Welcome to Catholic Education Matters, the podcast that celebrates the beauty of Catholic education, highlighting excellence in academics, athletics, and the transformative power of faith. Join us as we share the stories of those making a lasting impact on Catholic education. Let's begin. Good day, everyone. Welcome to Catholic Education Matters. My name is Troy Van Vliet, and I am excited today to have Mr. Kyle Neilson, a new friend of mine, I'd like to say. I know your mom and dad quite well. Kyle, glad to have you on the show. We got a couple of real fun things to talk about.
Thank you, Troy. Good to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming. First of all, Kyle, I want to tell us a little bit about yourself, and you've got a bit of a great conversion story that we'll get into here too. But
I'm grateful to be a Catholic today. I wasn't always a Catholic. My family was. I was raised in an evangelical Protestant home.
Yep.
And after a fairly pagan high school experience, I had a conversion to Christ, and then became really serious about the faith. And then over time, discovered Catholicism. There's a longer story behind that, but it was mainly through study and through discovering things that weren't really consistent in my evangelical faith, essentially. And
where'd you go to high school?
I went to Prince of Wales High School in Vancouver, public school.
Public school, yeah.
And
then you went to university.
I went,
Did you go right into university? Or?
I did. Yep. Yeah, I bounced around. I was a serious golfer at the time. So it was one of my gods actually in my life, small G gods. And I was hoping to play at university and become a pro at one point. And become rich and famous, and the secular dream. And I went to UBC for a year, had a conversion there during that time. Then ended up, it's a long story, but I went to a number of different schools. I ended up after my conversion at Trinity Western University and finished my undergrad there.
So how did you go through conversion at UBC?
It was while at UBC, not because of being at UBC. Right. It just happened to be at that time in my life that through this conference that was sort of in the realm of personal development that my parents had got involved in, that had good virtue-based stuff, although it wasn't inherently faith-based. Yeah. Through that, at church one day, I realized I was missing God in my life.
Okay.
So it triggered this new desire.
Okay. So
while I was at UBC.
That inspired re-inspired your faith?
I would say my faith was basically dead.
Okay.
For a few years because of my darkness of heart, sin. I still believed, but I'd made decisions, and my habits and patterns of thinking and acting were not wholesome at all.
Right.
And thank God this is before the internet, just because the opportunity for other stupid things to spend time and interest on didn't exist yet.
Yeah.
And so, yes, the Lord just, thank God, came and spoke to my heart and revealed the fact that my life was very empty at that time. So I was around 18 years old. And it just so happened, coincidentally, to be when I was at UBC.
When you were at UBC, okay. It was at that time in your life.
Yes.
And then you were only there for a year, UBC?
Yes.
And then you went
to a small college in Ohio, an evangelical college, to play golf. But God brought me there really for himself.
Yep.
Because, backing up, I got baptized that summer because we didn't baptize infants in my background.
Right. Yeah.
And I got baptized after that year when I was at UBC, of slowly growing in my faith.
Yeah.
And also making friends with other Christian people, which was a new thing for me and helped a lot. And some of them are friends today. And went to this small school for golf, but then I had a huge, second big conversion there through reading the scriptures one day. I had this kind of mystical encounter with Christ in which I realized very simply and clearly, I realized the depths of my rejection of God through what I'd chosen as a young person, and also the deeper depths of his love, and then a call to really give myself to follow him. Because I think for that year I'd straddled. I'd been kind of on a fence of wanting to surrender. I still wanted to hold on to control. I was afraid, I think,
that's tough.
Where might he take me?
Yeah.
It was a control issue, but he made it easy for me. He kind of stacked the deck in that experience and made it clear that it was the best option to really say yes.
And what college were you at?
It was called Malone College.
Malone College, okay.
It's in Canton, Ohio, which is where the Football Hall of Fame is, if you care about football.
Okay.
And I went for the golf program, but God brought me for him.
Yeah.
So that was a year there.
Yeah.
And then after what was interesting is I went through this big conversion about a month in. And then through that, the Lord led me to evaluate a lot of other things in my life I hadn't really looked at yet. Even things like the music I listened to and how I spent time and my internal thought life, areas that the Holy Spirit hadn't yet got to, or hadn't let him, I guess. And one of those was golf, because it was basically, I realized I prize this so much that it's probably unhealthy, unholy even. And I realized, yeah, this is maybe a God. It has been a God in my life. So I just said to the Lord, I said, here you go, Lord. What do you want to do with this part of my life?
Yeah.
Because you're shaping and healing and changing all these other areas. And over that year, he basically took my interest level from really high down to almost nothing. So at the end, I didn't actually want to play golf anymore. And so I came home for the summer, and my friends basically thought I was a different person.
That's fascinating.
It was really surprising. And just to be clear for the golfers listening, you can play golf and love Jesus Christ. Those are not opposite things.
Yeah.
That's right. It was just in my personal
Yeah.
experience that apparently had to happen.
Right. Well, if it was getting in the way at that time, then it was the right thing to do. So you still golf now, I'm assuming.
No, I don't. I don't even really enjoy it.
Really?
Partly because I'm so bad now. Because I hardly ever play. And when I do, it's very humbling.
Yeah. It's a frustrating sport if you don't play a lot.
It's true.
Yes.
It's very
So
finicky.
after Ohio, then
I went to a Baptist Bible college locally for a discipleship year. Really wonderful formation in the Baptist kind of milieu, and got really into studying the faith and really loved the scriptures and knowing more about them. I started to study things like how to interpret the scriptures. That was part of that discipleship year. And then the next year, that was just 1 year, I went to Trinity Western, which was in the area out in Langley, and there basically got confused about Protestantism and realized that it didn't all make sense historically, internally, like rationally and scripturally.
Wow. Can you give us a little more on
tease
that?
us out on that? What's all that mean? Sure. There are a few things. I knew nothing of history, firstly. I was very ignorant. And the more you look at early centuries of life and thought and worship, the less Protestant it tends to look. For example, there's the liturgy and the church hierarchy. And so in a church history class helped me to realize that there's just so much I didn't know. And so much that I believe now that's based on decisions that were made in the early centuries. And I remember asking a question in a church history class once. We were talking about the early church councils, the ecumenical councils, where doctrine was clarified and confirmed, and disciplinary matters were addressed by those gathered in the council, as councils do. And that's where creeds came out of, right? Our summaries of faith. And I remember asking, let me back up. So I was trained when I was at the Baptist school, et cetera, that everything we should believe should be based on the scriptures alone. The famous sola scriptura, scripture alone concept. But then I discovered that we have these councils in history that were used to confirm and articulate and clarify what was orthodoxy and what was heresy. And I thought, wait, those aren't scriptural. That's not scripture.
No.
Those are events in which men are gathered and make decisions that are authoritative. And I remember asking a question in class. This was when I was at Trinity, of how do we know that what those men, that body of men, decided is true? How do we, because of the sola scriptura concept? And the answer I got was pretty weak, or at least maybe unsatisfying. It was the better word. It was something like, well, we just trust that the Holy Spirit was guiding them, and more or less, at least that's what I recall hearing. And I remember leaving thinking, like, oh, that just doesn't seem to be consistent. What I later realized is that that actually was the right answer, but who the men were really matters. And I didn't quite get that yet, that these were Catholic bishops who were doing what Catholic bishops have always done per Jesus's plan, which is gather on occasion in support of and defense of the truth to confirm and clarify things that come from Jesus. They're not invented. Sometimes they're more deeply articulated to apply to a need or clarify a teaching. And so essentially what therefore I was believing, even about the authority of the scriptures itself, came from Catholic councils.
Yeah.
So I was already implicitly trusting the authority of the Catholic Church to teach, just by even believing that the scriptures had divine origin, because someone had to say what was in them.
Right. Exactly.
And so that was at the beginning, it was a very confusing thing, because I didn't know anything about Catholicism, and I had no point of reference. I didn't have a very positive view because I hadn't met many. I was just a young person, hadn't met many Catholics. I didn't go to a Catholic school. The very few I knew of and the snippets I'd heard maybe through the media of, say, Pope John Paul II at the time didn't seem intriguing.
Yeah.
I was very ignorant, and I had some anti-Catholic bias too that was baked into my formation. But I began, long story short, through further studies, I started to read some Catholic sources, and it basically just started to make a ton of sense. It answered seeming contradictions that I'd struggled with, like, is it by faith or by works?
Right.
Where's grace in our salvation? Do you need to be baptized or not? What does it mean to persevere in the faith, but also rely only on Jesus as our Savior? What about Mary and the saints and purgatory? These issues, these common things, which are challenging topics for people that aren't Catholic at this point, aren't yet.
And the books,
what books are in the book?
What books
yeah.
are in the book?
Yeah, it was an interesting discovery that the table of contents of the scriptures is actually a tradition from outside of the scriptures.
Sorry, say that again. The table of contents.
I forget who wrote Mark Shea. I think an interesting author. He said it's called the tradition of the table of contents. In other words, what determines what is the list of the books in the scriptures is not in the Bible. And so if your faith is all in the Bible, then you have a bit of a quandary there.
Yeah.
Those were some of the kind of compelling points that made me open to, and then finally found resolution in the Catholic faith.
And the books that differentiate us from the Protestant faith is they were determined pre-Jesus' life. Like they were Greek interpretations.
Translations.
Translations.
Yes.
Sorry, thank
the 7
much better.
books.
The 7 books. Yeah. So, and it wasn't until I think later in the first century that might that wasn't challenged till the Reformation.
Yeah, 16th century.
It was
That's
the
right.
16th century.
Yeah. I think there might have been a Jewish sect
there was a Jewish
used a
sect
smaller Old
that
Testament
used that. That's where they got it from. Yes,
right. Which
I knew there was something in the first century. I
yes,
was like, what was that? Okay,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's fascinating. So you were at Trinity for 2 years.
Yes.
That's right.
That's right.
Okay,
That's right.
So 2 years, and so then where was the big pivot? Where was the big turning point?
To becoming Catholic or to coming on your podcast?
Yeah, no. Well, that's a real big pivot.
Yes. Let me think. I got married right after Trinity, and my wife and I basically, it was very beautiful and organic and really miraculous that she was receptive to what I was discovering.
Was she at Trinity as well?
She was, yes. We overlapped for 1 year. We met there, and she had come from no faith background at all, but had a conversion in university. And after life went sideways in her world, and she was an athlete, got injured, and it was pretty devastating. And then met a missionary on campus, and we got married, and then a year later entered the church together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we left, so that was in the year, this was about 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Basically.
So you didn't have anybody sort of coaching you along the way. It was through your own research.
Mainly through the study. That's right. I didn't know Catholics. I eventually got to know them, but it wasn't prompted by that. So, yeah, God uses all kinds of ways, right?
So Catholic Pacific College wasn't there at the time.
Yeah, I'll talk about. I'll put a little plug in for CPC. It was at the time. It was called Redeemer Pacific College. Right. It did exist, but I didn't take any classes there. I did walk over there after discovering a friend's brother in Texas who knew someone who was on faculty there. It's a kind of circuitous thing.
Yeah.
And he suggested I go talk to him. And I did, and it was great. It was good to talk to a real person and ask some questions. It affirmed a few things and helped me.
Wow.
And then we basically went to the local parish after we got married in Vancouver and went through RCIA.
Which parish was that?
It was St. Augustine's
St.
Parish.
Augustine's?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, in Kitts.
Yes.
Yes, that's where both my daughters were baptized there.
Okay.
Yeah. Lovely parish that is, actually.
Beautiful,
And a beautiful church.
architecture, yes.
Yes, beautiful church. So, and where is the rest of your family? You have siblings.
Yes, 2 siblings.
Yeah.
And
your mom and dad, where were they in all of this?
so, we all had different. So the end result is that they're all Catholic now.
Mm-hmm.
How we all ended up there it's a miracle. It's not like I went home and was like working on them one by one.
No.
It was more organic than that.
That's the way it should be, really.
Yeah. And they had their different paths. My brother, I think, was closer earlier through other means. I can't remember how it all happened, but he'd been reading some spiritual writers who were Catholics, or at least had Catholic roots.
Mm-hmm.
And he was drawn to, I think, the mystical tradition. We both had become, I don't know what the word is, tired, disillusioned by, turned off by like a highly kind of emotional form of worship and wanted something deeper, something maybe more masculine, frankly, too. And so we were looking, without even knowing it, for something. So I went home and shared with my parents as I'm making these discoveries. Not went home. As we're discovering Catholicism, we would just talk on occasion. And I think one thing with my brother, one of the teachings of the church that was really what's the word? Maybe significant and timely for us is that Denise and we got engaged and then discovered basically Catholic teaching on contraception and its view for marriage and family life, which was so beautiful and surprising to us because we didn't know anything and had a very caricatured view.
Yep.
And through reading, I think it was the Rome Sweet Home book, in which that's one of the topics. Yeah. It led us to reading Humanae Vitae by Pope Paul VI, written in 1965, I think. And we were so impressed with hearing the articulation of what it means to love in marriage and God's vision and plan for that. Denise, my wife, felt very honored and almost like, this speaks to my feminine heart so beautifully, whereas the world gives a lie that hurts us and doesn't respect our dignity. And this is just makes sense. It's kind of logical. So there was a book about that I think I had borrowed from a friend and was sending back to our friends because we didn't have a car when we were first married. And my brother was the what do you call it? The delivery guy, but ended up reading it during the delivery, just circumstantially. And then that did something. So God uses these creative things, right? But so my brother and his now wife, they became Catholic a couple of years later. Oh, wow. And then my parents, I think a couple of years after that, and then my sister a couple of years after that. So in the course of about 8 years, we all became Catholic. Thank God.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing.
I can't imagine not being Catholic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, and your mom and dad are such wonderful people too.
They are.
And I had the privilege of meeting them through Legatus and spent lots of time with them now. And absolutely love them to death. I haven't heard their story. I've heard their story through you. So actually, I think they're going to be coming on the podcast as well.
Great.
So I'll be able to get it firsthand. I'll pull it out of them too.
Yeah, and they can come. And it's a long time ago, so you'll find out if some of these parts need to be refined a little bit in my memory.
Yeah.
One quick funny anecdote about my mom. Now that's too personal. Never mind.
Okay. All right.
Some of these matters get very personal, obviously. And some aren't stories for me to tell.
I'll see if I can pull it out.
She can tell us.
Yeah, exactly.
She can tell you.
Yeah. That's fascinating. Fascinating story. So, and your mom and dad, now, how did they come around? Like what, you had conversations with them, but were you influenced or did you just give them some information and then they researched it on their own and they thought, actually, this is a direction I want to go?
Yeah.
And when was it? How long after was it?
So I went to grad school at Steubenville from 2003 to 2005, which was awesome. And I did a theology program because I thought I would do church ministry work as my career. And through being there where I was really immersed in this stuff, my mom, I'm going to butcher the chronology, but I remember I said some kind of shocking things to my mom. I wasn't always, and sometimes not always, as gentle as I should be. I try to be, but I'm not always. And I think I said something like, Mom, I'm actually not sure if you're saved. Because at the time I wasn't certain.
Yeah. And
there's nuance around that question.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with people outside the Catholic Church that needs to be carefully understood and articulated. And so on occasion I would kind of shock, not intentionally.
Throw a few zingers in there.
Maybe though that intrigued her, and maybe to inquire, she was sort of like, what? And then she was curious enough or just cared enough about my life to maybe look into it. So she started reading, and she's more probably of a reader in general than my dad. They're just different people. And
what would she have read? Or do you know?
Some of the converts books, like Jeff Caven's books, I think Life on the Rock, maybe Scott Hahn's book, Rome Sweet Home. I don't remember, but those were probably a couple of them. There's also one by a guy named Thomas Howard that we had a very remote family connection to, like third cousin or something, called Evangelical is Not Enough, where he looks at the liturgical angle, how man needs liturgy. Man is made for worship, structured worship, that is ultimately what God's given us in the Mass and the sacramental life around it. Yeah. And even experientially, we crave that. God made us for it. So that was books like that. And she visited us when we were living in Steubenville, and came to some classes. And I remember, I think she came to a Mass at which there was this African priest preaching and said something like very poignantly, and like, basically, Jesus is not a polygamist. He has one bride. And the implication was he made one body, which is the Catholic Church. That's the one he established for us. And you can be indirectly connected with it, but that's where he wants all of us. That's the unpolitically correct truth. He wants everyone to be a Catholic. And I think it kind of hit my mom. Like, because when you're a strong evangelical, I wasn't at least aware of what the Catholic Church says about itself. Yeah. It does not claim to just be another denomination that you might prefer to be in. Yeah. No, it says it's the one that God gave us.
Denomination.
It is. It's not. It's actually not a denomination.
No, you're right.
The church Jesus founded.
The church. Yeah.
That's a very bold claim that has massive implications. And I remember being kind of shocked to hear it because of how it's either terribly false and should be like rejected because it's ridiculous, or it's true with massive implications for your life. Yeah. So she heard a sermon, like a homily, kind of like that, and kind of just. The Lord used it at the right time to intrigue her. Yeah. And then we came back to Canada, and we're started going to church together with the family. And I think a lot of us were in the same parish.
Was that St. Augustine's?
No, this was in East Van.
Okay.
It was St. Francis of Assisi at the time. And it was a practical thing for my dad. He's thinking, my family's all in the same parish. I'm going to go. And it kind of, the Lord used a different way for him. It was more, he just started to be drawn towards it. Yeah. And in particular, I think the Eucharist, there's some excellent priests that he got to know that helped him. So we all came through kind of different ways, but yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome story. Love it.
Thanks be to God.
As I say, welcome aboard.
Thank you. It's good to be home. It's good to be home. It makes sense.
That's great. Yeah. That is awesome.
You're a cradle Catholic, Troy?
I am a cradle Catholic. They call it? Yeah. Okay. And my story, we grew up Catholic. I didn't go to Catholic elementary school, but I did go to, my brother and sister did for a while. And then we moved. We moved from North Delta to South Surrey, White Rock area. And so we went to the public system, through the public system there. My brother and sister were a little bit older, 5 years older than me. So they were kind of going through the high school scenario, long before I was looking to go into high school. And then when it got to me going to high school, my mom and dad said, "Yeah, you're not going there. You're not going to the public system. You're going to St. Thomas More." And I was upset. I was mad. I wanted to go where my brother and sister went. My friends were going there, and I was mad. And I found out later, much later in life, that it was my brother that told my mom, "Yeah, don't let him go to school over there," and send him to St. Thomas More in Burnaby, which was a long commute for me at that time. So, but so glad I did, because that's where you're surrounded by others in the faith. Not everybody. It was a different school then. It was all boys at that time, and the uniform was your shirt had to have a collar, no jeans, and you couldn't wear runners. that was our uniform. So it was a mishmash, but it was still, it was much more pleasant still. Like it wasn't, these guys weren't walking around with, Mac jackets and jean jackets. They weren't allowed to do that. So it was a little bit more refined. And and then I went to UBC. That's why I was like, saying like, what, you got converted at UBC or whatever? So that was your sort of your... of which there was nothing. It was secularism at its best. It wasn't, there was none of it there. Although fortunately, because I went there to play football, a bunch of the guys on the team there were also recruited from Notre Dame Catholic School, Vancouver College.
Yes.
These were all my enemies.
Yes. Yes.
And then we all ended up, playing on the same team.
Yes.
So there was still a good Catholic representation on our football team there as well. And then I too, though, after university, I mean, the faith was not a priority for me at all. We're all chasing gods. We all have a God. Everybody does, right? Just who is it? Which one is it? And so I was quite entrepreneurial. I didn't really want to work for somebody. I wanted to work on my own and create my own business. So I had aspirations in that regard. And then, when I got married to my wife, Lisa, we had kids, and right away, Lisa was my high school sweetheart, actually, from grade 8. So we had took a long route around to finally actually get married, because we were 37 or 38 when we got married.
Oh, wow.
But yeah. So kids right away, and then and our youngest daughter had Down syndrome. And so we were living in Vancouver at the time at St. Augustine's. That was our parish. And then we moved to White Rock, where Lisa's sister was a vice principal at the Catholic school there. Great, fantastic school, Star of the Sea. So they went through there, and it was a matter of where they're going to go to high school. And so my faith was there. It was important. You have kids, and it's like, okay, well, we want to bring them up in the faith. We want to kind of give them some roots. It was still it was secondary to everything, I'm ashamed to say, but I'm happy to say that, we went down the road of championing this school being born. And that really came from motivation from my daughter, Annika, because I wanted her to be able to go to school with her peers, go to high school with her peers. And, but so it's 12 years we've been working on this new high school, and that has created a massive reversion for me in my faith. And like every year that went by, it's just more and more getting to know Archbishop Miller, and being here at quite often at the pastoral center, and just surrounding myself with good, strong Catholics. And it just got better and better and better, and it changed very quickly from I want a school, for my daughter to go to we're going to transform these kids' lives, and we're going to build something that the entire community is going to benefit from, because we're going to be building these, creating these student leaders that are grounded in faith to other. So it's been a fantastic. So I had more of a reversion story, I guess, than a conversion story, because yes, I was a cradle Catholic, and I think more often than not we are complacent as cradle Catholics,
right?
Because you just kind of get, you get caught up in almost more of a routine, the traditions of it, which are great. I have more respect, and I treasure the traditions now, way more now. I appreciate them now. But yeah, it could just become this redundant thing that you just do once a week or whatever. But faith, I've encouraged others too, that it really starts with the discipline. And if going to mass is even just starts as a discipline, at least it's a discipline of goodness. And you go there, and then if you can question what's going on in mass and take it upon yourself to learn more about it, and where do these things, and then start asking questions as you did, and you start digging and digging and digging, rather than just showing up and mailing it in, and then I've done my duty for the week, and I'm back to my normal self of selfish lifestyle that so many of us, a lifestyle of narcissism
Yes.
that we live.
Which is sold to us
So
every
it's
hour through media and social
constantly.
media.
Yeah. And it's relentless. It's absolutely relentless. So, and that's where, Catholic education to me, especially with a strong Catholic school like what we've built, we're pretty proud of that and we want to continue it. We're trying to give our kids a chance.
Yes.
We really see the school as an extension of the family.
Yes.
And actually, it's funny, Archbishop Smith yesterday corrected me. He says, well, it's supposed to be an extension of the parish as well. And it's like, okay, yes, right, there's three. There's three. Everybody's extensions of everything. I was like,
Yes.
that's truly, that's right. And not all of our students are Catholic at the school. Everybody's welcome. But we want the families that are coming, that are looking for a Catholic education, to adapt to what we're doing.
Yes.
Not having our students adapt to what they're doing.
Yes.
So, and so far it's working great. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Doing a fantastic job. So back to you. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing now. We got to experience, we went together to NAPA.
Yes.
And I'm going to let you tell that story more
Sure.
in terms of what NAPA was all, NAPA Institute in California.
It was your first time.
It was
correct?
my first time, yeah.
Yes. So that was my second time. NAPA Institute Summer Conference is a 4 or 5 day gathering of Catholics in California that the NAPA Institute runs. And it's sort of to gather, in my words, 3 groups of people. And it's, I don't think there's anything like it in North America. It would be, the first group would be the really dynamic apostolates in the church who have been effective and successful and have done stuff, have achieved things. They're not just starting out or trying things. And then people that want to know them and maybe support them. And then people that work with them or do business with them, which is more in my kind of thing, is I help in my work, I help mission-driven leaders, be they in business or in nonprofits. They have to really be aligned with a Catholic worldview implicitly, at least. And I work with a lot of Catholic organizations, help them build or improve their teamwork and their internal organizational culture. So I was there because I have some clients there and some groups that are just good to network with in the work I'm trying to do to help them. And you and some others were there, I think, just to be inspired by this gathering. At the gathering, they have a range of things. Liturgies, like every hour, there's a mass somewhere in 2 places. Yeah. And this hotel has like Catholic art in the hotel lobby and a chapel with the Blessed Sacrament in it. It's really exceptional. It's fascinating. And then open meals where you get to meet people, no assigned seating. And we were there at the same time. And it's, tied into my work, as I mentioned, because those types of organizations are ones I love to work with because the work we do can help them with stuff that's universal, issues with my team, dealing with internal, how we're hiring well, managing people well or not, which affects all the outcomes of whatever the entity exists to do. And it was a very inspiring event and I think very fruitful for those of us. There was a group of us who went down.
No,
together.
great. Yeah, incredible event. Yeah. And people coming from all over the U.S., but now Canada as well.
Yeah, and even in some cases in the world, I met not a ton, but I met a fellow who runs a Catholic fertility clinic, the biggest one in Spain. Oh, he was there.
I met him too.
Okay.
You're just
it's a fascinating
jogging
place.
my memory. Yeah. Yes. People from all over the world doing great things Catholic everywhere.
Yes.
It was very inspiring in that way.
And very entrepreneurial too.
Yeah. Catholic universities, pro-life groups,
right.
High school.
Yes.
And everybody was different religious orders in there as well.
Yes.
And everybody just was so eager to share what they were doing. And everybody was so eager to listen and to network and to express challenges and solutions. And what a incredible group. Didn't matter what table you sat at or who you bumped into. There was an interesting conversation.
That's right.
To be had.
Yeah.
So.
And a real openness, as you say, to just meet and explore how you might do things together, support each other. Yeah. Just encourage each other, even just be friends. Yeah. Right.
Or let me hear your inspiring story. What are you all about? What have you got going? And it's what was inspiring as a whole to me is just to hear all of these great things Catholic going on around North America, well, and the world.
Yes.
That are just like, oh, wow, I didn't even know that existed,
Yes.
this type of thing. Like that group that started the alternate to the SAT
Yes.
exam.
Yes. The classical learning test or something?
Yeah,
Is
something
that what
like that.
is?
And I think it's recognized at about 80% of the universities.
Interesting.
So it's something to be, so rather than having to study on some of the woke issues that are out there, it's kind of another way of doing it, so you don't have to go down that road, and it is recognized at other universities.
Think UBC recognizes it?
I don't know about that one.
It might be a tough sell.
Yeah, it might be a tough sell. You never know.
Holy Spirit.
Yeah. So, but yeah, great. So NAPA Institute, absolutely fantastic. I recommend anybody Catholic that wants to go there, just to go. It's a great experience.
Yes. And I mentioned 4 or 5 days. And if you're relational and you like to meet people, most people are, but some more than others, and you're willing to put yourself out there and introduce yourself and sit not just with the people you know, it has this beautiful compounding effect where you meet someone and then the next day you might meet their friend and they meet your friend, and it's this beautiful growing network.
Yeah. No, it's great. If you're Catholic and you want to see the church and the community from a broader perspective and see what's going on, it's actually a great place to do it. So, and your company, your work, tell us a little bit about that. And
yes, I have a small consulting company called Team Work Consulting. It's team with 2 E's, and it's a play on words. It comes back. Maybe I'll talk about the roots of the name quickly. It's an allusion to the Genesis account of creation, where the waters on, I think, day 4 were teeming with life, and the idea is all of God's creation of us, His plan for goodness for us, the fall of mankind, starting with Adam and Eve, that brought disorder and sin and separation from God. And then, of course, Jesus comes to redeem and save. And then that continues through the church. There's still the human level of organizations and teamwork that is sometimes also dysfunctional, as well as our root dysfunction of sin and separation from God. And in my first 10 years of my professional life, I was more working in that category of helping in the church's mission directly through adult evangelization work, et cetera. And then God, not by my plan, brought me into this kind of work where we work on the kind of natural level of dysfunction in mission-driven organizations and businesses, like I said, where they care about people and about doing good work, et cetera. They're not just trying to make money or such, although that's important for a business. Helping teams get better, helping people hire better, helping people deal with, you mentioned the bad apple metaphor before we started the recording, address people who are undermining the team. And the premise being that when the team functions well with good meetings, good communication, good accountability, when you have good people practices like hiring and managing people, developing people, it affects everything, the mission, the outcomes, the results you're looking for. And when those things aren't ideal, it also affects everything. So my business is to help leaders that want to work on those things. Make the team better, organizational health, and culture better.
So how important, this sounds like an obvious question, but I'll let you elaborate anyway. How important is strong, good leadership?
It's essential.
Yeah.
Because the leader has to drive and maintain and protect the culture and the type of teamwork that you want. And
protect the culture. That's a great way of putting it.
Yeah. We actually have, that's one of the pieces that we look at in our work, is once you've made a culture or tweaked a culture, how do you protect it? And we use a little hawk. Is it a hawk image for that? Because that's kind of the idea, is like you want to be guarding it. And I think analogously, it's like I have children, and my kids are getting to the age where they may, if they're called to it, get married. So I have potential in-laws coming into my, like daughters-in-law, sons-in-law coming into my life. You want to be very hawkish. I don't mean militarily or whatever, how it might be used, but discerning, discriminating in a good way, like careful, and also with your teamwork and organization.
Do you think good leaders are born or are they made?
I think it's probably a bit of both.
Yeah.
I think you've got natural raw material, but then you have virtue, and virtue is and can be and must be acquired by practice, education, and God's grace.
It's
Virtues of
learned,
prudence and fortitude. And some have natural inclinations in those areas, but it has to be honed and refined
Right.
through ultimately virtue. Education, yes, but I think more virtue.
Yeah. I've seen some incredibly educated people, even that have taken the leadership courses that just don't fit the bill.
Sure.
They don't fit in as a leader.
It's not enough.
Yeah.
It's perhaps one thing. That's right.
Like, leaders that are pushy, not pulley, that don't lead through example. That's a tough one. You see that in different organizations, and you must see that. I mean, how do you deal with when you're coming in and talking to an organization, and you're brought in by the leader?
Yes.
And the leader is the problem.
Yeah,
has that happened
question.
to you? Has that?
It probably has. Yeah, I'll have to be very vague. On a different planet.
That'd be challenging.
I've worked with a lot of groups, so that is challenging, and you don't always know until you look under the hood together. But that is a tricky situation.
And then you got to somehow try to find out a way to point it out without getting fired.
Well, yeah, we try to not worry about that because we want to be in the service of the good. Yeah. But yes, it's tricky.
Yeah.
That rarely happens because it's usually the leader that has the humility and courage to address the things.
Yeah.
And if they have humility and courage, they've got half the battle, probably.
Right.
And there it's maybe just helping them get a little better.
Yeah. So they're looking for that constructive criticism. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're exactly. And they're wanting help with applying what we discover together to make things better, including with themselves.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work when we're asked to work with someone who hasn't wanted it.
Yeah.
Just by its nature.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and if you're being brought in to work with leaders, if you're being brought in, let's say by an owner, to work with the leaders of the company, and the leaders of the company are the problem, I guess it would be up to you to point that out to the owner or what have you and say,
hiring me. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This is a bit of a problem over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That does get a little tricky though, for sure.
Wow. Yeah. Do you have any stories that you want to share about that? I'm putting you on the spot here with that now, but anything that you think where you had a big impact on a company or?
Let me think of a story. I think, there was a situation where I've been doing this for 10 years and there's a range of different incidences and impact stories. One, maybe I'll use a bad apple thing, and this was a long time ago in a different location, et cetera. But there was a team, just because someone says that they are a person of faith doesn't necessarily mean that they are acting wholesomely all the time. And we know that from ourselves, right?
Yeah,
I can be
course.
a little hypocrite.
Yeah.
I can be passive aggressive. I don't want to be. I try not to be, but I'm not. I have wounds and I have imperfections. But sometimes it's more. There was a team where basically a member started to get challenged by the teammates in a kind way and a respectful way, which was good, about trying to be all team players more so. Working on team player characteristics from the Patrick Lencioni model of the ideal team player. And the one member basically started to get challenged by the teammates about his willingness to be more collaborative and a little more humble and help the team win versus just thinking about his area. And it led to a really dramatic thing. We kind of reached an impasse in that discussion. It was on a whole day session. So we called a break, and then I huddled with the team leader and then the boss of the team leader. And what it led to was basically a very direct confrontation. That's maybe too strong, but where the person ended up actually getting terminated.
Oh, wow.
And this was after efforts to really kindly and patiently, this is over a few days.
Right.
First clarify, is this really what he was thinking and saying? And did he really not want to try to change it, which there was a lot of support and helps around, but eventually wasn't willing to. So they had to just end it with justice and with kindness, but decisively. And there's sometimes that one, addressing that one factor, like the bad apple, analogy affects everything else. You take I think I currently have a bruised apple in my fridge that I haven't addressed, but it probably will make the other ones not good if I don't deal with it.
It starts spreading. Yep.
It just spreads. And so our work isn't always that dramatic. And sometimes it's more just let's build on the good there and tighten up the quality of your meetings and tighten up just kind of optimizing how the team is communicating and acting and talking in discussions and meetings so that you're also then executing better. But that would be a more kind of dramatic example.
Yeah.
And then on the kind of more macro scale, we help organizations in time have less likelihood of people like that getting in. And this is like the hawkish thing. You don't want to let people into your family just like you wouldn't want your son or daughter to enter into your family, someone they'd marry that's not going to be a good thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we help leaders have a little more discipline and be a little more careful than they maybe are around the people they're bringing in, as well as helping them move along or address and then invite them to change the people that they currently have.
We'll have that challenge at the school going forward because we will be hiring probably at least 4 teachers a year for the next 5 years.
That's a big deal.
You know, and that can dilute the pot really quick in terms of your culture of the school. So
it's true.
It's got to be really discerning with that. Yeah. You have a podcast as well.
We do. We have a podcast. It's called the Serious Playfulness Podcast. We talk about teamwork, virtue, organizational culture, and with a bit of a playfulness, but it's mostly serious stuff around teamwork and the things we talked about.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's
People
super.
are welcome to watch. Listen.
Well, we'll put it in the comments.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. So
thank you,
Kyle. I want to be respectful of your time. Thank you so much for coming out and sharing your past with us and your conversion story. That's awesome. And best of luck to you.
Thank you.
In your work.
Thank you, Troy.
And what you got coming up.
Good to be
here.
here.
All right. Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much. Thanks everybody for joining us here today. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Have a good day. Thank you for listening to Catholic Education Matters. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow the podcast on your favorite listening platform, rate it, and also leave a review. Don't forget to share this episode with your friends and family to help spread the word about the impact of Catholic education. Be sure to listen again.